Well, I'm back. Looks like I forgot to run through the code portion of the walkthrough. So, following the typical controller model view controller syntax, use Cornel to build out my folder structure. Or using SQLite. Got a couple migrations in here. Basically, create the users database, the projects database, and then, projects users and projects table. So in our controllers, we have our typical application controller. So here we're setting up our views and configurations, set views showing that, hey, our views files live in app/views, not in the root directory. Then we're enabling browser sessions and setting our browser secret here, which should be blurred out, but for the purposes of this, not a big deal. We have initial GET request here, and this is kind of where it shows the all projects, and so we'll look at that page real quick. So showing all projects and then all users, because we feed in that user tag when we do the .each iteration. And then of course we're checking to see if we're logged in first. First and foremost, if we're logged in, we'll render the home page. If not, we'll forward you to the login page. And down here are our helper methods for that. So coming over here to views, home page, some basic HTML. And then down here we have our projects.each. That's where we lay out each of our projects. And then over here we have users find by ID. So essentially, since we have that association of the user who created the project, we're going to find that user ID and then load that name based off of the user ID that's contained in the project that's displaying next to. And then we just have a couple of links here to other pages for other functions. Again, here's our helper methods. So the projects controller kind of starts out at the top. We have a basic error splash page, so 2 spots. Depending on the page, I'll render an error, just reload the page. Other times, I want it to go to another page. So I have both, and they're about 50-50. Projects.new, so we create a new project. Again, we're checking to see if the user's logged in. If they're not, then we'll kick them to the login page, and they can reroute over there. Here's our patch request for updating a project. So essentially we go find that project by ID, and then if the session ID is the current user ID, the user ID contained in the session is the current project user ID. Basically that authorizes that, hey, I created that project, so I can therefore edit it. And that's where we take in that information. And if it's not, then we'll redirect to the error saying, hey, you got to be the owner. And if so, we redirect back to the home page that shows all the projects to click on. Get projects IDs. This is dynamic where you put in projects as ID1, and then we'll pull that out again, checking to see if you're logged in before you can see the project information. Here's the post request. So this is for creating new projects. Again, we're checking to make sure all the fields are full. Can't leave anything out. And if that's the case, then if it's not the case, then we'll render this error message and then reload, re-render. We'll set this instance variable equal to this message and then reload or re-render the new project page, which will then pop that up in red as here. So there's that error up there. Then same thing here with the delete. So this is deleting. Again, we're checking to make sure the sessions match. This is the owner of the project is in fact the one who created the project or is trying to delete it. And if not, we kind of do 2 error messages down here. One is we say, hey, you're not the owner. And then we tell the user, hey, if you need to delete this, you need to contact this user. And here's his email. Users controller. This is kind of for future build out. Basically, it's a page to show all the registered users. That might be more of a elevated privilege. Again, we have a GET request here for creating a new user. You don't have to be logged in for that. That's like you're creating your account. And then the actual sign up, the post request coming through here first before they hit submit. we're loading that params info in as current user. And then we're checking to make sure that the username they've typed in isn't already taken. And if it is, it'll kick back this error, the username is unavailable, please pick something else. And then re-render the page. Else, it will then check to see it, make sure all the blanks aren't empty. If they are empty, again, it'll say, kick another error, re-render the page, and follow those passes, then it will save current user and then set the session ID equal to user ID, basically logging them in and redirecting to the home page. Again, the get request here is basically going to sign out. It's clearing the session, redirecting you to the home page. Post login, again, first we're checking to make sure we have 2 checks here that the account exists or if they need to create a new login. And then if that passes, if that username it does exist, then we're going to check the authentication. So this probably isn't the best practice because you don't really want to disclose whether the username is a valid registered username. You want to keep something more generic, like, hey, check either username and password, one is incorrect. But for the purposes of this lab, we kind of threw that in there. Let's see here. Yeah, and other than that, we've kept the, just due to time limitations and full-time job here, kept kind of the same formatting and styling that the Cornell gem makes when it renders the page. And that is the project. Thanks, everyone.